Hi everybody. In this video, I'm going to be talking about something called channeling. And channeling is when a spirit comes through the channel and speaks. One of my guides is Jane Roberts, and she's been with me for over 30 years now, teaching me how to change my thinking and overcome limiting beliefs and create a clear channel. But and they tell me, my guides say, I will be doing that in the near future with another spirit speaking through me. I have had one instance of doing such a thing about 29 years ago. And this was at a time when I started seeing spirits around my bed at night, thinking it was my imagination. I was working at Crossroads Women's Shelter at the time. One of the staff there had taken a Reiki workshop, and she said it taught her how to relax. And I thought, well, maybe that's what I need. Maybe I'm stressed out and I don't even know it. And that's why I'm seeing these people. I'm just stressed. So I signed up for the class over the phone with a teacher named Bernard Morin from Lakefield. And I got directions over the phone, but unfortunately I forgot the directions. But I got there okay and got through the first class. And he did these energy clearing exercises where you had to sit with your eyes closed, and he would do these healing motions around you to clear your energy. And when I sat there, I felt all once myself going through a tunnel really quick to the other side. And at that point, I heard the words, I am Sananda. And then when he was done, I opened my eyes and he said, what did you feel? I said, I didn't know what to say. So I said, well, I felt I was going through a tunnel really fast. And he just nodded his head, and we got through the class. But on the way home, I got lost, and I mean badly lost. I'd only put $10 worth of gas in my car, and my gas gauge was broken. And I was up and down the same roads, and I ended up on Curve Lake Native Reserve a couple of times. I ended up at Irwin's Inn once or twice. It was rainy, it was dark, and it was foggy. So I pulled over the side of the road because I was starting to really panic. And I said a prayer to God, if you get me out of here, I'll never come back. And as soon as I said that prayer, I heard a voice say, go straight ahead about 1.5 miles up the road. On the right-hand side, you will see a sign and you will know where to go from there. It was very clear and specific. And I thought, great, I'm lost now. I'm talking to myself. But I was going to turn around and go back the opposite way. And instead I listened and went straight ahead about 1.5 miles up the road. On the right-hand side of the road was a white church. And out in front of the church, on the curb, was a sign that said Lakefield that way. And I didn't know where to go from there, just like the voice said. So I wasn't going to go back, but I got home and I thought, I need to go back and find out what's going on. Why did I experience what I did? The sensation of going through a tunnel, hearing those words, I am Sananda, and getting directions to go home. So I went back the next day, brought the directions with me, and the teacher, Bernie, said, we're going to do a clearing exercise that will make you better healers. And what you do, he said, is pick a vowel, and you repeat it over and over again, and it clears your energy, and it becomes like a chant. And I thought, oh, how stupid. But then I thought, my guide, I know now, said, look, Linda, you paid your money, you might as well participate fully. And I thought, okay, I will. So vowel said, okay, O. I picked an O. So we had to sit on the massage table, Reiki table, in a cross-legged position and chant, repeat the word O, or the letter O, over and over again. So it was like, O, O, and it got very loud. And all at once I had a vision of a little boy peeking in and out from behind a tree. And he said, look, Linda, come and play with us. It's fun. Come on, come and play. And I told the teacher what I was seeing, and he said, keep going. So I kept repeating, oh, and then he said, no, put ha at the end of it, H-A, put ha. So at that point, it was getting really loud. It was like, oh, ha, really loud. And then I had a vision of a native man on horseback holding a big long spear. And it frightened me because it's like I knew he was there for me and I didn't know why. So I told the teacher what I was seeing, and he said, keep going. And all at once it was like, oh, ha, boom, on the table, really loud. I'm not going to do it as loud as it was, really loud. And at that point, I stopped being me. I was a man. I had long black hair, muscular, thick arms, and I was definitely Native. And I gave a talk on how we had lost our power, and it was time we took it back. And there were 16 people in that room, including that teacher. Not one person doubted that that was not a Native man speaking. Everybody believed it. I laughed, and all the teacher said was, he's perfect for you because nobody will ever think that's you. And I laughed, thinking I didn't understand what was happening or what was going on. We had one more day. I came back to the class. We had a chance. We were given a choice whether to do the exercise again. I did it again with the same results. The Native energy came right up through, starting from the feet up to my face. I thought I was going to speak. Instead, I sang in a Native language that I don't know what it was. I raised my hands like in the air as if I was praying, and I sang. And apparently it brought people in the room to tears, what I said, what I sang. So the class was over. All Bernie said was, see you later. Have a good day. Thanks for coming. No, where do you go from here? I thought, oh, did I lose my mind? I thought, no, not for any reason I know of. I didn't fake that, but what happened? What was that? I didn't fully understand what channeling was, at least in terms of it happening to me. So I told a few people at the healing place where I worked as an iridologist part-time while still working at the shelter, and they said, you're going to have to figure out what to charge. That was their comments. I said, what, charge for what? I just lost my mind. I'm telling you about it, and you're telling me you're going to have to charge for that? But a few days later, somebody phoned me and said, can I book a reading with you? And I thought, reading? I don't know how to do a reading. I'm not psychic. What? For some reason, I said, okay. They said, what do you charge? I said, $45. I named a random number. Then I hung up the phone. I thought, why did you do that? You don't know how to do a reading. You're not psychic. You just see dead people. So I thought, what am I going to do? I don't even know how to do a reading. I went upstairs, ran a bath, sat there, and started repeating her name to myself over and over again. And then like a tape, it started. Well, she has a sister out west. She's schizophrenic. Her and her husband are having trouble in their marriage, and she's thinking of leaving him, and she's looking for a job. And I thought, why did I just hear all that? I don't know this person. Well, she came and she sat down. I knew she was expecting me to say something. So I hesitantly said, do you have a sister out west? She said, yes. And I went out on a limb and I said, is she schizophrenic? She said, yes, she is. And I thought, oh my gosh. I said, are you and your husband having problems? And she said, yes, we are. I'm thinking of leaving him. And I thought, oh my gosh. And then she said, I'm looking for a job. Can you tell me what I could be doing? And I said, well, I closed my eyes, not knowing how even to do this. And I said to my guide, I figured I had one at this point, the Native man. And I said, what kind of job could she be doing? And I saw money in front and working with money. I knew it would be working with money. And I told her that. She said, no, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to work with me. I have no interest in that. And I talked to her for a few minutes and she left, but she phoned me a week and a half, 2 weeks later and said, well, I got a job training as a financial planner. So there you go. But before she left, she said something that just made me want to fall off my seat. She said, my mom passed away and I want to talk to her. Can you connect with her? And I thought, oh my gosh, well, how do you do that? I've never tried to contact somebody that died. I see them. They talk to me, but I've never tried to contact. So I closed my eyes, tried to say to the Native man, I said, can you find her mom? I figured heaven must be a really big place. How do you find somebody? And in a minute, I started hearing thoughts, and I started repeating to her what I was hearing, and she goes, yep, that's my mom. And I even called her by her nickname that only her and her mom knew. Not even her own sister knew that name. And so after she left, I came to the realization that yes, I was a medium. Now, that experience, as unusual as it sounds, is exactly this very close to being the same as described in the book The Eagle and the Rose by Rosemary Altea. She had a very similar experience. Now, that native guide seemed to only stay for a while, and he seemed to be paving the way for my other guides. But it was a very phenomenal experience and one that I will never ever forget. And channeling is real. There's a number of people that do it. Jane Roberts, who's my guide, channeled Seth, energy personality, and she is credited with starting the New Age movement. There's people like Bashar who claim to channel an ET. He travels all around the world channeling this extraterrestrial. And there's a number of other people as well. Jay-Z Knight, who channels Ramtha, who's supposed to be like a 55,000-year-old caveman. And, to each their own. And who am I to say that that's not the case? But anyway, I'm wanting to share this with y'all because this is just another experience that I've had after that car accident where my car had black ice. So it's another what they call after effect, that this psychic experiences and how they continue. And I'm hoping to support people, maybe start a group with IONS that support people that have developed intuitive abilities, psychic abilities after they have had close encounters with death, either through a near-death experience or just in everyday life, work life, relationships. So anyway, that's my story, and we're sticking to it. Now, after my second near-death experience, I described in an early video where I started to be able to, out of the blue, speak Hebrew, and that was channeling, which has been validated by 2 professors and a rabbi. So again, that's just an aspect also of mediumship. So stay tuned because they tell me I'm going to be channeling someone else that is from also a different century. So that's my world. Welcome to it. Thank you. Good night, you guys.